Earlier this week, we got a super chat on Timcast IRL from someone who referenced the red heifer. I didn't know anything about it, so I did a quick Google search and found an article from forward.com, Jewish independent nonprofit, where they wrote, "Holy cow, can one heifer herald the third temple and the end of the world as we know it?" You see, it's not so much about whether you believe in these religious prophecies or superstitions or anything like that. It's that there are people who do. And the argument was, with the birth of a red heifer in Israel just this past month, there will be attempts by people who believe this to construct the third temple. They believe it could result in the tearing down of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Honestly, I had no idea about any of this. I don't follow this stuff. I'm not big on this, but I decided, let's read this article because I do find it very interesting considering everything that's going on, that on September 8th, Forward wrote this well before these attacks. Can one heifer herald the third temple and the end of the world as we know it? Well, let's read it. Mira Fox writes, "The days of the third temple are apparently upon us. Why? It's all thanks to a cow." I like cows. Cows are funny. You drive, and everyone knows this. When you drive down the road, there is no circumstance in which a cow is seen that someone doesn't say cow. And you all know it. We love cows. In the Bible, red heifers feature heavily in temple law. The cows must be pure red, without even 2 hairs of another color, and without any form of blemish. And they're an essential part of sacrificial purity laws. Their ashes are required according to passages in Numbers to purify the temple's priests and its altars. But these laws have long been irrelevant. After all, there hasn't been a temple in well over a millennia in which to slaughter the cows. Some religious stories, however, say that before the third temple is built, heralding the Messianic era, long prayed for by both Jews and Christians, a pure red heifer will be sacrificed again. In Judaism, this era is prophesied to mean the coming of a time that includes the return of biblical laws of purity, thus allowing for true holy life. For evangelical Christians, it would herald the end times, the return of Jesus to earth, and the rapture. This belief has long driven Christian Zionism and Christian lobbying on behalf of Israel. For both groups, there are a few requirements for this time to arrive: the restoration of the nation of Israel, Jerusalem becoming a Jewish city again, which was accomplished sort of by Israel in 1967, and the birth of a red heifer to purify it all. And here we go. It happened, apparently. Apparently, according to a breathless announcement in the UK tabloid The Mirror, a red heifer has been born, the first born in Israel in 2,000 years. The Temple Institute, a Jerusalem-based organization led by American-born Orthodox Rabbi Chaim Rickman, advocates for building the third temple. They have said that they will be examining the calf carefully as it grows for blemishes in order to see if the time is right to start the construction. Okay, so apparently this red heifer was born, and when it grows up, it may have a blemish, so who knows? They say the heifer herself. This particular calf is not an accident. The Temple Institute has been working to breed a sacrificial cow for years. After importing red Angus cows from Nebraska, the most recent calf is not the first birth that has been announced with great excitement, and several have also been shipped in from the U.S., where evangelical Christian farmers support the Jewish efforts. This is nuts. While some Jews believe the third temple can only be built in the prophesied Messianic age, groups like the Temple Institute believe that the Jews have to take the prophecy into their own hands. In their interpretation, the long prayed for epic, can only come once the temple has been built and purified, and they believe that's upon them. The Institute maintains an active YouTube channel where they post Temple Talk podcast episodes, Torah lessons, and videos detailing their efforts to pave the way for a third temple, including recreating dozens of temple vessels. They have also built a giant gold menorah, according to Torah specifications, and weighing in at half a ton, including 45 kilograms of 24-karat gold. It currently stands in the central plaza of the Jewish quarter in Jerusalem's holy city, ready to be kindled in the rebuilt Holy Temple, according to the Institute's video. Bana Israel, another pro-Third Temple group, has both Jewish and Christian members that, according to its website, work on actively bringing the redemption closer. They are responsible for shipping several red heifers from Texas to the U.S. earlier this year. And Rabbi Yitzchak Mamo, I'm trying to pronounce it right, From yet another third temple group, Uvni Jerusalem told the Christian Broadcasting Network that he has planned a ceremony for Passover 2024 to slaughter the imported heifers, assuming they have not developed any blemishes before then. Memo said he bought a plot of land overlooking the Temple Mount 12 years ago, specifically in hopes of using it for the slaughter ceremony and beginning preparations for the third temple's construction. All right, so what is this? The trouble with the third temple. The destruction of the temple is one of the greatest tragedies in Judaism. But building a new one, the third temple, is a complicated, controversial proposition, both religiously and politically. The Temple Mount, the former site of the second temple, is currently the home of the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, both holy sites in Islam. But Jerusalem is under Israeli control. The Temple Mount is managed by an organization called the Jordanian Waqf, the Israeli soldiers controlling ingress and egress. The Western Wall, Judaism's most holy site, is at its base, holy for its proximity to the former site of the temple, but access to the hilltop is restricted for non-Muslims. The Jewish prayer inside the area has been officially prohibited for most of Israel's existence. Interesting. Geopolitics aren't the only issue, however. Jewish scholars, including the Israeli rabbinate, have ruled the grounds are off limits to Jews. The Holy of Holies, the inner portion of the temple, access to which was restricted only to purified high priests, is unknown of the temple's destruction, and ritual law forbids anyone impure from entering. Due to the impossibility of temple purity without a temple, this means the possibility of accidentally coming into contact with the inner sanctum while impure is too high. Others argue the third temple cannot be built until the Messianic era, prayed for and predicted in the Jewish texts, arrives. Not all Jewish scholars agree, however. They never do. Jewish groups have, especially in recent years, been allowed to pray to the Temple Mount. At least one group, Shalom Jerusalem, led by Yehuda Glick, has made promoting and establishing Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount its mission. And though the rulers have officially remained unchanged, Israeli soldiers have protected Glick and other Jewish worshippers on the hilltop. So, look, I don't know, but there are people arguing that a lot of what we are seeing now is because there is an effort to manifest the end of days. And we've talked about it on Timcast. I'll read the bit last in a second. There are conspiracy theories. There are people who want revelations to occur. Revelation. They want the apocalypse, which means revelation, new knowledge, enlightenment. So what they're doing is, instead of waiting for the signs, they're creating them. And that's essentially what they're arguing some of these people of the Third Temple Institute believe. They believe that they must make the prophecies happen. Forward says, the movements toward building a third temple have generally resulted in violence. Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount is seen by Palestinians as an assertion of Israeli authority on the holy site. And when a red heifer was in Haifa in the 90s, a columnist in Haaretz even wrote that it should be shot before it caused another intifada. But to true believers, the controversy makes no sense. They believe that the third temple will be a source of God for all people and usher in an era of world peace, despite evidence to the contrary. This will be interesting, right? If people really believe this, then it wouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. If you truly believe in your faith that the end of times is near and the red heifer was born. That being said, this story is not that someone ran from their cattle farm frantic with a photograph saying, it was born finally in 2,000 years. Oh, heavens me. No, this is a story about people importing and intentionally trying to breed red heifers that are pure so they can perform this ceremony. It's political. If Israel decimates Gaza, flattens it, levels it, as Lindsey Graham called for in a psychotic statement, then what will the opposition be? The fear was that in the 90s, there could be an intifada. There would be violence and terror. But right now, we're facing it. If Israel decimates Hamas and leaves nothing standing, then there can be a sacrifice of the red heifer and no one to stand in opposition. And this is the point that people were making when they commented on Timcast IRL, that it could be a political move, that people are attempting to bring about the third temple. Again, I don't really know what all this means. All I know is that I did a Google search and I found this article and I found it interesting, that there are people who believe the end of times may be near, and thus they want to usher it in intentionally. There are others who have spent their whole lives trying to bring it about. And what if it's all true? Man, I don't know. I don't consider myself a follower of any religious text. I do believe in God. And this is foreign to me. But it could be massive political motivations for religious groups. So you should definitely learn about it and consider it. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at, I believe, 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.